Hey everybody, it's Matt Shu with my buddy Josh Hash here at Upright Health. And in this video we are going to be talking about how assessing muscle balance and choosing exercises appropriately can really affect how a shoulder can recover or not recover when there's pain. In previous videos we talked about the idea of how much muscle balance matters and whether or not chronic pain should really be looked at as a brain dysfunction or as a central nervous system dysfunction. And we talked about 4 variables that really matter when you're trying to get rid of pain by exercising. We talked about the importance of correct exercise selection so that you hit the right muscles, right? We talked about correct execution, right? Correct form. Then we talked about the right timing, right? So basically setting a time frame that makes sense. And then we also talked about intensity. So in this video, we wanted to give you a practical example of what that might look like when you're dealing with a shoulder problem and how things can go wrong and end up being really frustrating if you're trying to establish muscle balance and you have some sort of a shoulder issue. So Josh is going to be my pretend clients. So Josh has a right shoulder issue. So tell us about your right shoulder, Josh.
My right shoulder just gets a lot of pain in the front here, and it's really restricted. I can't really get it over my head. I can only get to about here.
Okay. And so when Josh is standing here, we can kind of see, we can see that his shoulder is kind of rounded forward. And you can actually see, can you take a step back so everyone can get a good view of where you are here, Josh? So if we take a look, Josh's shoulder's rounded forward. And I'm going to give you an example of something that's actually happened to a client of ours. I look at Josh and I see that his arm is kind of rotated this way. So if you look at that left hand, you can see his thumb and index finger. But on this side, I see the back of his hand. So we've actually had a client say, oh yeah, you know, in this same situation, the person they saw said, oh, well, your humerus is internally rotated. So let's reestablish better muscle balance, better position by trying to get this externally rotated. Okay, so what can we do to help you out there? Probably some external rotation exercises. So we're going to, through the power of Hollywood magic, pretend that Josh has done a bunch of these. We're moving really, really fast. Boom, done. So we are now a week ahead. He's done tons and tons, literally hundreds of repetitions of external rotation.
I haven't eaten this last week.
You haven't eaten anything.
I've just been doing these.
So probably need to talk about diet with him at another time, maybe when we have a convenient moment to chat. But let's check in. What's going on with the shoulder? We've been really trying to establish muscle balance and better position here. Has that helped at all?
I don't know, it feels maybe a little better. I can't really tell that much.
Range of motion, any improvement?
Not really. Range of motion is still about the same, I guess.
Okay, so in this case, we're thinking about trying to fix this position, but what we didn't do was really identify the right problem and try to address the right problem. So we've identified this arm position as being kind of off, but what we missed in choosing this exercise was that there's something else going on that makes this, that really should take a higher priority. So when you look at Josh from the side, and you can see like his shoulder is kind of pushed forward, it's protracted, that's what's making it look like his humerus is internally rotated. If we could pull his shoulder back, if we could get muscles to fire that pull the shoulder back, then that would actually help make the arm look like it's in a better position. So we pulled this back, and then Josh, can you face them so they can see where your hands are now? Then the hands are in a better place, they look more symmetrical, the shoulder is back, right? So if we're gonna choose the right exercise, we wanna do something that encourages scapular retraction and pulls that shoulder back. So what we can do instead is just, as one of these kind of more basic exercises, is just pull your shoulder blades together, right? So we're gonna do this hundreds of times over the next week, plus probably a few other exercises to add a little bit more intensity if possible. And we keep training these muscles between the shoulder blades to keep pulling the shoulders back. And through the magic of Hollywood, we're going to fast forward. And we're checking back in after about a week. So what's been going on, Josh? How is this doing for you?
I feel better.
Magic.
Yeah.
Magic, the Hollywood magic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is we've set the shoulder blade back into the right position, and that gives him better opportunity to articulate at the shoulder joint, right? So we had to pay attention to something else, reestablish muscle balance back here relative to here. So maybe doing some stretches and things and massage work to try to open this up, and then a lot of work to strengthen up muscles back there would be really helpful. Now, in a lot of situations, we might have to use a higher intensity of exercise to really stabilize that. So that's one of those factors that we need to think about. A lot of times that's just not enough to get things to hold in the right position. Another thing we need to think about is even if we chose the right exercise, let's say we stuck with scapular retractions, can you show everybody how to do that wrong? So then you want to, yeah. So if you watch here, let's say I said, yeah, we're going to do scapular retractions, and then Josh goes home and starts doing things like this, and he starts overusing his upper traps, he's starting to use his levator scapula too much, and he's just executing the exercise incorrectly, then we're not going to get the same benefit. It might even make things worse because then he's firing up really incorrect muscle patterns. And then when he starts moving around and trying to lift his arm, if he tried to lift his arm and he started doing that shrugging, he'd get stuck even sooner. So that's something that we would really, really have to pay attention to. Even if we get the right exercise, if we get the wrong form, we still end up with no benefit, right? And then in terms of timing, which we've talked about, you know, we need to make sure we're training long enough and doing the right exercise long enough in the right way. And then, as we mentioned before, intensity, using exercises that are hard enough, that are strong enough to really develop the muscles back there, right? And you've seen that with some of your clients for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Start at a baseline, but then at some point you have to add something.
Right.
Some more load.
Yep, so weight or something, just making it more difficult so that the muscles back here are able to overcome what's happening up here. And that's really what you need to think about when you're dealing with muscle balance. You and I have talked before, and we've noticed it's very different from person to person. Some people just doing that might help, right? Some people really need to actually use kind of a heavy weight initially just to feel enough of a training stimulus to actually stabilize. Yeah. So that is a really clear, hopefully, illustration of how people can get frustrated with shoulder issues when they think they're doing the right thing, or when, you know, the person they're working with thinks they're doing the right thing. Sometimes you need to zoom out, look at different factors, and make sure you really are choosing the right exercise, doing it well, doing it long enough, and then doing it at the right intensity. So hopefully that clarifies things for you guys, really illustrates for you the importance of muscle balance, and hopefully you remember that pain sucks.
Life shouldn't.
If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and comment, and don't forget to subscribe.